Hey, everybody, this is deLisa Coleman bringing you another episode of the Inside series as we go even further into the Austin Film Festival. And this is a fun one. I can't wait to be able to introduce you to Arthur Veenema, who is the filmmaker behind a little film called The Atomic Spawn. And I just think it's just really so much in the spirit of like what one thinks about the Austin Film Festival is, right? So Arthur, first of all, welcome to the show. And thanks for taking the time.
Thank you, Lauren. It's good to be here.
So let's start off like we always do by having you give us a synopsis about what the fabulous Atomic Spawn is all about.
The Atomic Spawn is a short film. It's a short monster film. So I'll keep the synopsis kind of brief. It's about a nuclear worker, this guy working on a test site in 1952, way back in the 50s. And as he's wandering around, he's lonely, he's sad, he hates his job. I mean, he's mapping the fallout from all this radiation going on in these test sites. He finds a little irradiated egg that hatches into a little mutated monster. And it starts to grow out of control, but he befriends it. And as the lonely worker and the lonely little lizard, together they form an unlikely friendship.
I think that's the perfect synopsis. You left out though that the monster is very cute when he first is born. So I love how this is described, and I want to read this directly so I don't miss anything. It's like a monster, a modern monster movie with old school heart. I like that description, right? Because you do kind of get that wonderful like kind of sense of blend of today, and like you said, the best of the 50s, and something that's like my favorite, which is stop motion animation, or I don't know what we would call it, stop motion technology. I know that in the press notes you've referred to, of course, some very important films that have used this technology, but I think of like back in the day, like Santa Claus is Coming to Town and Davy and Goliath, and when you were like a kid, that stuff was like magical. I don't know why. It's just something about how it moves is just really, I don't know, just fun and fantasy like. So
It's
for you
tactile,
to kind of
it's physical.
in this, it makes it even more like old school, but like in a charming, nostalgic way. I'm sorry, but I cut you off. Go ahead.
I cut you off. Yeah, I mean, I love stop motion, and I still appreciate CGI and everything done on computers nowadays, but to have like the physical object to the puppet that's actually there, that you physically have in a space, it just feels, like you said, it's magical. He's cute, isn't he? Oh no, he's making an appearance. Dude, what's up? Oh my God, too funny. So this is the actual puppet that we used, and it's cool to like have that, right? It's great to have that, and he's like part of the family. But how long does it take? I mean, to do each movement? Because, I mean, I guess this is something like as a kid, I always wanted to ask like Rankin Bass, but couldn't. So now I can ask you as an adult, because you're moving like it's obviously not fluid movement. That's a different type of technology. But for the movements that are taking place, it's a lot. So how do you manage that? And how is that all mapped out? We did, when we were on set, Brandon Ngo, my actor, was just interacting with something that wasn't actually there at all. He was pantomiming. It was kind of difficult to get the eye lines right and everything like that. And then once we had everything in post-production, and post-production took a long time on this movie, as you might imagine, because of the stop motion. We did a storyboard of some kind, like an animatic, to see what he would be doing, the little monster, what he would be doing. So we drew out like what each scene would kind of look like with him. And then from there, we could kind of match the, experiment with this and that and see what was kind of working. And then from there, we could match the puppet to that animatic that we made. That's
just so amazing. I mean, you said it took a long time, but how long is that long time?
Well, we had to make the puppet, took a few months. The stop motion process, frame by frame, recording each of those photographs, probably took about 3 to 4 months. it's hard to measure because I was just basically doing it on my free time. Every time I came home from work and on the weekends, I would just roll out of bed and get to the stop motion little studio that I had made in my closet. And
wow, that's
that was
amazing. I guess really the question is more like how many hours really as opposed to months, because I would imagine this would just be, it's very time intensive.
Oh yeah. That's a great question. I should have like tracked my hours when I was doing
or maybe not. Then you would have been maybe overwhelmed. But just for later, for nosy interviewers like myself, you could have it, at the ready.
I can tell you that there's a 40-second shot in the film. That 40-second shot took me 13 hours to animate, and that was
just an example.
Yeah, and that was me sitting down. I couldn't leave because as soon as you leave, you're kind of out of the flow. And it's interesting because I listen to actors talk about how they make choices when they're playing characters. And for me, I was kind of like playing this little character frame by frame. I was making choices for what he would do, how he would kind of interact with his environment and the character Brandon on screen. I've watched a lot of frame by frame videos of kittens, dogs, and birds to see just how they move frame by frame.
Dude, talk about like just commitment and dedication. It's really no joke. But I think that, just in reading some of the notes around this, it's not just, and it isn't just, a fun-ish monster movie anyway. It's very creative and time intensive. But I guess I should say, in addition to that, this has a lot of heart to it as well. Can you speak a little bit to why, or kind of the backstory about why this was of interest to you regarding, Utah and testing, atomic testing, that type of thing, which is, kind of just decimated some of the land there, which is considered, sacred, right? So
yeah.
Tell me about your experience with that.
I mean, living in Utah, I've heard a lot about like the radioactive fallout in the downwinders that live in the southern part of our state. Like, it's just a real tragedy that a lot of there was no sort of second thought about what was going on in the late 40s and 50s. Just blow things up, measure how much they blow up, and who cares about the populations down there? It's terrible. I think I've seen statistics that say that the most bombed nation on earth is the Shoshone Nation, just because of the amount of bombs that were set off, nuclear bombs that were set off on their land. So that's part of the film too. It's definitely sort of the setting, that's the background. I don't dwell too much on it because it's just a depressing subject, but I also do think it's a subject that's worth remembering.
I definitely agree with you, and probably not spoken about enough for reasons we all know. But I just wanted to bring that out during this conversation. So let's talk a little bit about kind of your background, what you brought to this in order to be able to kind of bring the atomic spawn to life.
Well, I grew up on Godzilla and monster movies and sci-fi and this kind of genre. So as I moved more into my filmmaking career, I've been making films and working in the film industry here in Utah pretty seriously since about 2015. I've made short films that were very dark and sort of like Black Mirror-esque, like exploring the dark side of technology and its implications in our lives. That's all very interesting, but I fell in love with film because of monster movies, and monster movies still have, like we just talked about, they have allegories, they have messages that are important, that are recorded and worth remembering. Godzilla is all about the nuclear fallout in Japan in the 50s. Mm-hmm. So monster movies, they're fun. They have a lot of they have a lot to love and to just enjoy as you watch them, but they also still have powerful messages behind them. And I think monster movies are a way for us audiences to confront the scary parts of our lives in a safe way, through allegories and metaphors. So I would love to keep exploring the monster genre, horror movies, and that kind of science fiction
Wow, I just love that kind of thought process with it. We spoke a little bit offline about the fact that you are a stone's throw from where the Sundance Film Festival is held. Tell me how, if that plays any part in your kind of filmmaking career or the journey around it. I mean, is it like, as I don't know, I've only been there during the festival itself, and of course, then everything is bursting at the seams and all that. But after everybody goes back to his or her respective city, what's the filmmaking kind of industry, or the community, I should say, like there? Is there a lot happening in Salt Lake City itself, like kind of day to day or week to week? Because I know there are other film festivals that take place near there that we don't hear nearly enough about, that I've learned about just over the years going to Sundance. And some of them even take place either simultaneously, either during Sundance or just overlap at the end. There's a bunch going on there.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I love my film community here. Utah has a very active film community. I feel like I've lived here my entire life, so I can't really compare it to, I don't know, Vancouver, Seattle, Portland. I'm not sure, but I love everyone that I work with here. We have a very active film community, a lot of people who do it for fun, who are making great short films and things like that. But we also have a lot of film productions that come in and shoot here. I myself learned a lot because Kevin Costner's Yellowstone TV series was shooting here, and I was on season 1 and 2 of that. I learned a ton. I loved working on it. Hard work, but loved working on it. And we still have a lot of Hallmark movies that shoot here. I think Hallmark just is always shooting here.
No way. I didn't know that. Oh, okay. My mom loves the Hallmark Channel.
My mom loves the Hallmark Channel too.
That's who it's made for. That's funny. Well, I guess because of just the surroundings and all that is as well. For outdoor shots, it's ideal and stuff.
Scenic. Yes, Utah is scenic. Yeah. We have forests, we have deserts, we have lakes, we have all of it. It is a gorgeous state.
So now, when you sent this off to the Austin Film Festival, did you have any idea that you were going to get the thumbs up there and then be heading out?
I've said this before. Austin Film Festival has just been this dream of mine for a long time, because
nice. Okay.
I'm at heart, I'm a screenwriter, so I've just heard so many good things about the Austin Film Festival and the team behind it and all the conferences. Austin's such a cool city too. I visited years ago, but I was much younger. I can't wait to go back and see it.
That's great.
See it again.
So, what kind of tips do you have for maybe filmmakers, I don't know, who are in the same monster genre like you, or stop motion, or just in general, that you learned from putting so many hours into this project?
That's a great question. Man, I feel like there's been a reappraisal of the monster movie genre in recent years. Guillermo del Toro's, is it just crazy that Guillermo del Toro won Best Picture with Shape of Water, this love movie about a fish man? It's crazy, but that's a monster movie. That's a movie about a monster.
Well, you know what? That's true, right?
And I think there's been this rethinking of the genre, and I buy into this with The Atomic Spawn, that the monsters are kind of the tragic victims in their own way as well. A lot of American monster movies in the 50s, had the monster cast as the bad guy, and it's just this thing to be reviled and shunned. It's the other that society wants to cast out. And now it seems like the genre has been subverted, and now society shunning the monster. That's the real monstrous sort of thing to be reviled. In Shape of Water, the real monster is the G-man, the guy who's chasing down the two lovers. And I think monster movies have really matured in how they see the monster as a tragic victim as well. And Ishiro Honda said that. Ishiro Honda, the director of the original Godzilla, said that about his monsters too. They are victims. And I think
that's just so fascinating, because I don't think that, typically we think that way. when we look at, quote unquote monster movies, and I would not have thought of The Shape of Water as a monster movie, but certainly it is a sophisticated one. And maybe too, we are beginning to think about the monster in a different way because it can emote more. So like if you're thinking about the old school Godzilla or whatever, any of those type of things, or even like whatever monster was in Ultraman back in the day, it didn't have any feeling. So if it got killed or whatever, it was like, okay, well, whatever. But I feel like now, of course, with various technology, they are more, I don't know, just emotive. So maybe that is it too. I mean, I really don't know. I have to admit, I have not watched like a gang of monster, movies, but, the few that I've come in contact with, it's just something to really think about.
Yeah, I mean, Ray Harryhausen, the stop motion animator that I really admired when I was coming up with this project. I mean, he also thought a lot about that, the character that you put into the monster. And a lot of times they're the real star of the film anyways. So yeah.
But one dimensional. Well, back in the day, right? So in the 50s, like you're saying, the star would be, he is the star, but one dimensional. He's just about like, I don't know, terrorizing. But today you can see, I don't know, they would give you the backstory of why he's, terrorizing and how he was abused and all this stuff. So you can't help but hopefully be more empathetic, right? I mean, isn't that kind of like the idea? I would not call it maybe a monster movie per se, but even Joaquin Phoenix, the Joker, you see a different side of the Joker than you would have in the 50s kitschy, Batman series. And so how could you not feel something for this person or this thing? But I'm just like so glad that you're bringing this up, because I think in all the series, and we are pretty new, but in all that we've done so far, we have not spoken to any filmmakers about like kind of the monster genre, and it's like a fun kind of conversation to have.
Yeah, I've been watching a ton. I mean, I'm obsessed with Little Shop of Horrors right now.
Yeah.
Oh man, well, yeah, fun movie. But yeah, I've been watching a ton of monster movies, and now that the Atomic Spawn is finished. And
so, what's going to be next for you? You're just going to like master this like monster like genre, like you're going to be like, I don't know, the Tim Burton of like the monster genre or something.
That would be cool if people start saying that.
I think I see that in your future.
Well, I grew up with them and I love them. I want to keep exploring them. I love all kinds of films, dramas, romances, all of it. But yeah, I mean, that's the one that has nostalgia, and that's the one that really speaks to me. That's the one that I watched with my dad growing up. And yeah, I would love to keep exploring it in my filmmaking career.
That's so nice. So anything else you want to add, Arthur, before we wrap up? One thing I would like to add is this man, responds to his Instagram DMs. That's how I got him. And I love that. And shout out to you, Arthur, for being on top of your Instagram. Because sometimes, I mean, our viewers know, sometimes, I mean, I'm like, sometimes it's okay, straightforward. But many a time I'm hunting down like these filmmakers for you guys. And so Arthur was kind of one of them, because I could not get a handle on like maybe a landing page for the film or whatever. I was like, I'm going to find this man. And so I stalked him a little bit on Instagram, and he responded. So there you have it.
Well, thank you for doing that, Lauren, because this is a really nice conversation.
But yeah, anything else that you want to add?
Man, if you're going to make a monster movie, if you're going to make something in this sci-fi horror genre, I mean, just it shouldn't come as any surprise, but just remember that the monster is the real star. Brandon, he did an amazing job, and I loved working with him. But in my early drafts of the screenplay, I didn't think through everything that was going to go on with the monster. And it wasn't until post-production that I was really thinking more about what that creature was going to be. And I should have probably integrated that a little bit more earlier on, I would say. That would be something I would change if I were to do it again. But I'm very, very proud of how the Atomic Spawn turned out. I love everything that my team put together. Patrick Charles was the puppet designer behind the Atomic Spawn. He did an amazing job. He's a local artist here. And yeah, I just couldn't have asked for a better team to make this film. Seriously.
Oh, that's so nice. And yeah, like I said, it looks very cool too. I mean, it has a cool look to it. And in your defense, I think, didn't even Peter Jackson say that it like the the end of, I guess it was Lord of the Rings, the first one, that they weren't quite sure what Gollum was going to do and look like. So, well, maybe not do, but how he was going to, like, how that was all going to be portrayed, which is why he kind of looks, I don't know, almost ethereal or whatever at the end, the first time you see him when he pulls something back. So, you know, even at that level, the monster can kind of, you know, start to evolve later on, and you can still end up with a really, really dope, like, kind of scenario. So
that's true. Yes, that's true.
You never know. Anyway, Arthur, I can't thank you enough for taking out time there in Utah. Wait a second. You guys just got, oh no, it's not snowing in Salt Lake City, but it is up in Deer Valley. I was shocked to see that on my IG feed.
Oh, yeah.
The first snow was like, what, just a couple of days ago, looking beautiful.
Yes, it's gorgeous right now. I wish I could, like, poke my head out the window and show you, but, like, we have the fall leaves. You can look at the mountains and you have the fall leaves on one layer and then the white snow above them. Like, it's gorgeous right now.
Oh, that's so nice. So it's a good thing you're finished with your closet stop motion animation. You can get a little bit of air and all that going on for the season.
Yes.
Thanks again so much, Arthur. I really appreciate it. It's been fun talking with you.
Lauren, this has been wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I hope that you guys have enjoyed it as well. Look out for Arthur and the Atomic Spawn. And that's pretty much it for the moment for us. Right now, we'll be doing much more with the Austin Film Festival. I am Lauren deLisa Coleman. And as always, this is the Inside Series for film.io.